Consider me your Black Vanna, Black weather girl, your Moorish weather girl, your Moorish update, your priestess of the earth and the cosmos. But what I'm here today is to try to give my perspective of what is going on around the globe. So I received my bachelor's of science, my bullshit degree in ocean studies. So I had to learn all about the oceans, the currents, the organisms. So this has been up my alley for years, just never applied it. And as we speak, my mother is forcing my children back into public school, which I just spent 6 months unlearning all the stuff that I learned in the system, but I'm just done fighting. Point being is that I do have basically a background in this, but also a passion. And it just seems like my body is actually connected to the earth. So I'm an intuitive empath. So a lot of stuff that messages I get is through my body in the form of pain and is located near chakra. And then that chakra tells me certain information and I go search and I find out exactly what it was consistently for about 6 months. Uh, I can detect when earthquakes come, at least major ones, um, that affect the shaman resonance of the earth. So I normally get woken up, and my solar plex and all the chakras on down are going off. I gotta go to the bathroom, puke, do whatever, and it lasts for a couple hours. Normally, by the time I recuperate, I go look, and sure enough, the shaman resonance is going off, or something hits the globe. So a lot of us might not be familiar that a lot of our weather is controlled by the cosmos, and that is why Trump and a lot of people are removing the restrictions from the climate change because it's not climate change, even though we have done our damage to the planet. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. But some of this is due to climate change, due to the effect of Venus and Jupiter. And if you look at a lot of the ancient civilizations, such as the Mayans, the Egyptians, the Sumerians, and the pyramids, were all like a solar calendar, also planetary alignments, solstice alignments, very much dealing with the cosmos. And one of my friends posted a video about how in when you go to regular school, they don't teach you about any of this, especially when it comes to the sciences. They're all separated. But I'm seeing that they're all connected. So basically, whether you think the globe, Earth is flat, hollow, a circle, whatever. But right now, I have this old globe, and you can think of it however you need to. But I would like to show the Earth wobble and how that's been affecting things and how it's showing up in weather. In addition, also want to show the pole shift in certain key locations across the globe and relations to earthquakes that happen in one area, how it affects the other on the opposite side. So, over the course of 6 months, I have circled this globe and tore it up to figure out what's going on with some of these areas. And some of these areas also have a direct correlation to ancient sites that were very important to the local people. And plus, I think it also has a correlation to the sunken continents. And I believe that part of the prophecy, and I'm also going to religion, going to politics, and going to the cosmos. But it's all connected. And that some of these sunken areas, continents, are possibly coming up or being birthed. So that's my particular theory. So first, I want to talk about the pole shift. The poles normally are typically up at the top and the bottom, north and south, like they always say they are. And just so people know, there is a hole at the top of the earth. Um, so that leads you to believe there's a lot of activity at the top of the earth. A lot of this place has been normally cold and barren, and it's really been hot. So all of this ice is melting at a rapid temperature. Also, there's fires. This is, I don't know if you see, Norway fires. It's been a lot of also cosmic activity. So, with that being said, keep it up. England has been having record breaking earthquakes. No explanation. We're going to go to Syria, Turkey. That's a political area, but also a hot spot that you need to watch out for. And of course, always Israel and Egypt. India has been taking a hit so much, whether it's flooding, earthquakes, anything and everything, a lot of plagues. And a lot of people don't talk about that, but I've been seeing it more and more in months. Any and every disease that has ever been is out. Um, so I'm gonna go around. So the North Pole's up here, and the pole is wandering. I don't know where it is, but it's supposed to be somewhere between Africa and South America, right in here. So this place will be eventually cold. So this will be north, and under here, which happens to be right off of the coast of Papua New Guinea, which has had so many earthquakes for months and months and months. That's where a lot of activity, and I believe somewhere around there will be the South Pole or between India. So, with that being said, the globe is going to be different. And I need you guys to try to wrap your brain around it. So, it's going to rotate. I don't even know how it's going to rotate, but my point is the equator is going to be moved. So certain places that were tropical or were desert might be tropical. Same thing that we said back in the Sahara Desert used to be a forest, rainforest. So watch it. Seasons are about to change. In addition to that, there's also key areas in certain groups we've been talking about. This 33rd parallel. This is also UFO way. It's been a lot of activity we've seen in Oklahoma. Oh, and it's just way a lot. Mexico's had a lot of earthquake activity. In addition to cosmic activity, they can see a lot. And plus, it's on this side of the world, which I believe is the south side of the world. So basically, allegedly, this planet X, planet 9. Some people saying it's Pluto. Don't know, but it's doing its 3,600 year rotation, and it's close to the sun, which is pulling our South Pole, which is creating this nice rock that everybody's been not really, might not be understanding. So when it rocks, all of this water creates this flooding. So if it rocks this way, it's pulling on the South Pole, India is going to get hammered with water. Or as it rotates around, Japan's going to get a lot of water. So when it rotates back, a lot of times the East Coast starts to flood. So it's just back and forth. Number two, if it's pulling from the south and it's right around here, this side of the world is burning up because it's getting close to this solar system, actually a second solar system with planet X, and it has a couple of moons and other planets. So with that effect, that red dust storms that we've been seeing, that they've been saying is African, it's not. What's making the red skies is Nibiru. Nibiru's made out of iron oxide, and so that's what's causing a lot of this. Also, there is people affecting the fire situation here, but it also is the temperature is tremendously hot. The chemtrails are supposed to be used to cool the planet, to keep the planet cold. Yes, it is poisoning us, but it's been done over the centuries. I'm not sure who's doing what or whether it's a cloaking mechanism. But if you look at a lot of the ancient texts, religious texts, they talk about UFOs, they talk about clouds, they talk about even a Hopi prophecy, talk about the chemtrails and the spider webs in the sky. So I've been looking at any and everything to try to explain and correlate what's going on. So we have, I'm really, really, really concerned about anything in the Ring of Fire. Anybody that's around here, I'm concerned. greatly for your safety, especially West Coast. There's a lot of earthquakes about the faults, and there unfortunately is a lot of volcanic super volcanoes. It's like 20 something volcanic type of structures in California. California's supposed to break off. Like, I'm very, very concerned. Arizona has been having drills to prepare for earthquake victims. So just to let you know that the government knows, they're just not telling you, they're just not making you panic. And I don't know if it's a method to create these fires to make people migrate away from danger. That's my theory. But people have their sinister plans, because I just think it's just a way to move people away from the danger zone. Um, Anything else? Pause. I would like to start talking about how some of these same locations correspond to our current day military. Um, Russia is definitely a major player. United States, they just had their United States and 26 other countries had a drill in the Pacific, of all places, which is probably the most dangerous place. But I think they're the ones that are causing it. I think it's really fighting going on, and some of these earthquakes are caused by uh fighting and underground bases and things like that. Also, the crystal grid is coming up, so a lot of stuff is going on. But one thing for sure, people don't believe in the Anunnaki, and but from my research, they know the planet. They have the equipment. They were allowed to come in. If you believe the stories about UFOs and the Galactic Federation, they were allowed to come in with their drilling equipment, because this is their normal rotation to drill. And earthquakes release the gold that's in our crust. So a lot of this stuff is them, and I think it's also connected to the ancient cities where gold has always been. So they're causing this, but I also know that Putin is fighting the Anunnaki. The Pope has warned Putin to stop. I believe Putin gave Trump information on the Anunnaki during the soccer ball transfer. It had data in it. Well, it had data in it probably about the elections, but it also had data about Nibiru. And that ties into Trump's need for the Space Force, because at first it was all directed at Russia, and I think they're about to pair up and try to fight the Anunnaki. Um, and the reasons why I say that, a lot of earthquakes are happening up here in Alaska, way up near the Arctic Circle. Like, who the fuck is up there? What's going on? And to find out, it's an early warning radar that has been up there since the 1950s. So I believe this is one of them strongholds that they're watching here. Also in the Book of Enoch, it talks a lot or a little bit about Antarctica. And if you look in Google Maps, there is a picture of a cave, and this is one of the places that are off limits to any citizens and things like that. In the 1940s, Admiral Byrd went down there in his expedition and got his ass kicked, and had to come back home and said this was our greatest threat. So these two openings in the earth are very sensitive, and so a lot of countries are there, and I know that there's been a lot of articles about things being found there. Some kind of the source energy that's coming from the middle of the universe is about to hit us, and it has illuminated or sent something that's been locked in the ice that is very important. So Antarctica is definitely a place to watch anything cosmic. I think there was several different comet strikes or asteroid strikes or whatever you want to call it. South Africa seen it, and then supposedly in Greenland and in Antarctica there have been meteor or comet strikes. So I believe that's also what happened in Spain. On that one particular day, there was people in Mexico and the Philippines who shown that there were things in the sky. So I think that some of this weather is disguised as weapons, and it's happened over and over again in centuries during this time. So I believe we're good, but most people, other people on the planet are not, and they're really suffering. But you do need to be careful. So, all these areas are danger zones. This is pretty much Indonesia has had so many volcanic eruptions. There's so many volcanoes along this chain. It's another part of the in the Rift Valley in Africa. All of this is just volatile as well. Um, Anything else I can think of that's been going on? Papua New Guinea is one of those places I really need to do some more research. I noticed that a lot of the places, Solomon's Island, have like those biblical references to it. And I noticed that in past articles, they've been moving residents out of there. It's just so much odd things going on across the globe. And we're gonna also talk about the three storms going to Hawaii. Hawaii, um, volcano's been going off for months. It's kind of subsided, which means to me that I feel like they can control how everything goes. But when these three hurricanes hit this volcano, it's not going to be a good thing. Water and heat, explosive. So, a tsunami, this is a big ass area. So, I'm very, very, very concerned with people in the Pacific. And there's been definitely several movies that say that's where you need to be watching. That's where you need to be watching. But I'm watching pretty much everything and watching the weather, watching when it snows in a place it doesn't belong. The seasons are switching up, and that's just because of the Earth's wobble, and that's because this pole shift is about to kick in. Where this is gonna be north, this is gonna be south. We're just gonna be, and it's been also evident with the moon. If some people have been noticing that the moon sometimes is higher up in the sky, and maybe an hour later it's lower, and it comes back. Like it's the wobble, and we don't feel it. I feel it a little bit, but yeah, it's real, and I hope this helps kind of explain the way I see things, the way things happen in the cosmos. So also, if you look at certain satellites, like I think it's called the RAM or something like that, every now and then, if you look at the ISIS satellites, you can actually see stuff outside that's shining some type of light on a planet that's not our sun. So you have to recognize that, and then those planets or ships or planetary body ships kind of have been shown to pick up water from the ocean and just dump it. How are we having all of these torrential rainfalls? If you look up in the sky, there's clouds that are light and there's clouds that are dark. Stuff is being masked. And you need infrared, or you need to do an invert of pictures when you look up in the sky to see if it has a heat source or if it's a solid mass versus a lens flare, because you have those lens flare trolls, you have those Project Bluebeam trolls, and if it is a laser, then it shouldn't leave a signature in the sky if it was coming from here. And all of them CERN motherfuckers. CERN was originally built to dry continents once this happens after, not necessarily to be causing all of this. A lot of this stuff was countermeasures on what they knew was going to happen in the past. So I strongly suggest people, in the meantime, start stockpiling basic essentials that you need to survive. We're already surviving, and it's getting to a point where resources, water, food, medicine, all of us that say we're going to heal, we need to start getting ready. Anything you need, flashlights, different types of things to heat food and keep germs down, the bacteria, it might get cold. So get your shit together. Stuff is about to get real. The tribulation, we're halfway through it. So, and the government's not warning you. So I'll show you the Pat Robertson part two, that he's sounding the alarm. So if you guys are going about your normal life and thinking shit is just as normal as hell, you'll be in for a rude awakening. These sinkholes is no joke. So get into the prophecy as much as you don't believe it. Get into other prophecies. Get into other religions. Go across and have an open mind, and don't be so close minded to just your beliefs. Some of the stuff is definitely cosmic, and I've never looked up as much as I have, and I've learned only all this in 6 months. So it's possible, and keep, your consciousness. And everybody should be getting their body alkaline, vegan, because they're poisoning us in our foods. So grow your own foods if you need a list of what to grow. And I'm trying to compile that list of all the type of things you need and recipes, so it's just not as painful when the shit goes down, and other backup solutions, backup energy sources. If you don't get picked up and get to go to Wakanda or leave the planet and you're not going to send, that's what you need to be doing. So that's just my take on what's going on.